Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Thank you, Anu. So, welcome back, and we will continue this discussion on chapter 4, which is always an interesting chapter. Always seen as one of the most complicated chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But if you follow systematically, it's very easy. And once you understand it, it's not that difficult. So the chapter was started by a re-emphasis of Krishna, that this innovative idea of Karma Yoga and inspirational idea of Jnana Yoga, which he taught in the second and third chapter, is not a new teaching, but an intelligent reinterpretation of the original Vedic teaching. And he said, I taught this in the beginning of the manifestation of the universe to Sun God, meaning it was programmed into the intelligent order of the universe. That raised some confusion in Arjuna's mind. How can Krishna, who is my contemporary, can teach Lord Sun? Or how can he go back to the beginning of the manifestation of the universe? So Krishna took a tangent, a side topic, and introduced the idea of avatara. Avatara means there are two types of births. One is people are born because of karma. That is you and I. And second category of birth is Ishvara, when the universal order gets disturbed, when there is a readjustment required in the universal order, the Ishvara manifests himself to rectify that universal order. And that is what is called as avatar. And then he said, you can get free from all your suffering. You can get out of all your suffering, either by knowing yourself or by knowing Ishvara, because the essence of Ishvara is the essence of you. You can know the water by knowing the wave, or also you can know the water by knowing the ocean. So if you know me, the tattva, that is the word he used, not just my name, not just my glories, but who am I? What am I? If you come to know, you will be liberated. And then he said, how to worship Ishvara. He said, it doesn't matter whether you call him Krishna, Christ, or Allah. It doesn't matter what form of invocation you use. Whosoever comes to me in whatsoever form, I bless them. The revolutionary verse of 14. And then he said, some people don't want to go to a higher level of spiritual development. They just want to settle with lower things in the world. For example, they may want a little bit money or fame or a little bit cure of a disease. Of course, that's fine. I bless them with that. And those who want to know me in detail, I will bless them with that. And then he said, to understand Ishvara, it is important to understand the karma also, because the karma is very complicated. Even learned people get confused over what is karma, what is akarma, and what is vikarma. So there we spend some time explaining what is karma in detail, right? So we divided the entire karma into two categories, karma and vikarma. Karma means the actions that you can perform within the dignity of a human being. And vikarma means that actions you cannot perform. Certain things you cannot perform, whatever is the case. So as a human being, you are not supposed to do that type of activities. That is vikarma. And then he said, a normal human being, when he does the karma, what happens? This karma is going to bind him. And what are those karmas? We had a long discussion, right? We said Nitya Karma, Naimithiya Karma, Kamya Karma, and Prayaschitta Karma. The entire scope of karma is divided into these four. Nitya Karma, my day-to-day, everyday activities. Getting up, brushing my teeth, eating my food, taking a bath, going to work. All that is Nitya Karma. I have to do that every day. And Naimithiya Karma means based on a nimitta, what I do. If I'm sick, I need to go to a hospital. If there is a wedding, I need to go there. So certain special occasions demand certain types of karma. And that type of karma is known as Naimithiya Karma. Kamya Karma means the karma I pursue, the karma I do to pursue my goals. For example, I want to get a certification, AWS certification, for example, architect certification. It's a Kamya Karma. I need to study for a desire. For example, there are different karmas. I need to do a birthday celebration. So I need to arrange that. I need to get a GoPro. I need to do some action for that, earn the money and get that done, right? I need to get a car. All these are Kamya Karmas. And Prayaschitta Karmas are karmas which I do to compensate some of the mistakes I have done in the past. All these karmas can be done Laukika form and Vaidika form, because you can do certain rituals or you can do in the world. Both comes under the scope of karma. But the problem here is when you do these karma, whether it is Nitya Karma, Naimithiya Karma, Kamya Karma, or Prayaschitta Karma, those karmas will create some mental impressions in you. And later point of time, what is going to happen? These mental impressions are going to control the way I feel, I think, I act. So you need to find the art of doing the karma without creating these binding impressions. This is what the secret of karma. And then Krishna on verse 18, that very interesting verse, he said, an intelligent person will see action in inaction and inaction in action. His body might be working very heavily. His mind will be functioning extremely in a high voltage, but he knows that I am not acting. His body, mind, intellects are working very hard, but he don't feel stressed. This is the most wonderful idea of action. Such people, even though their body works very hard, they don't feel that they are fatigued. And the other people, even when they are taking rest, they feel extremely stressed. So how can you gain that feeling? It's only through the self-realization you can convert the karma to akarma. A self-realized master, an enlightened master, know that what is functioning is not me. My body, mind, and intellect is functioning. I am not the doer. I am not the enjoyer. My body is acting. I am different from that. When you can detach yourself from the body, mind, and intellect, the action becomes inaction. Thereafterwards, his body might be working, his mind might be working, but he is not working. Because who is he? He is the consciousness. This is what the ultimate teachings of the Vedanta. This is what we have been discussing. So with that, we can continue. So verse 12 to 23 is going to talk about the secret of karma. So that's what we are going to cover. So we will cover 20, 21, 22, 23. So this is what we were seeing earlier, the attitude of a wise person. Yasya sarve samarambha. This verse we have seen last time. An enlightened person, he will undertake all the activities. It is not that he is going to retire to the forest and sit there. How? Kama sankalpa varchida. He will renounce all the binding desires. See, what is binding desires? It means we need to understand this very clearly. I think I will explain this multiple times, so you know that it's not that you don't want the result. It is your emotional dependence on the result, right? If I'm emotionally dependent upon a particular outcome, that's the problem. So he will undertake all the activities, but without emotional dependence on the result. And then what he will do? Jnanatnidatha karmani. So in the fire of knowledge, all his karmas will be burned because he knows that he is not the one acting. The body and the mind is acting. So this is the attitude of a wise person or a man of realization. So we are going to continue that discussion. So let's see verse 20. Anu, could you please chant?
Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatrupto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha.
These are masterpiece literature. Amazing spiritual gems, you can say that. Karmani api pravrittopi. Even when he is engaged, api pravrittodi, even when he is engaged in karma, action, naiva kinchit karoti saha. Even though he is engaged in action, he is not acting. Even though the fan is rotating in a very high speed, the electricity is not acting. Just like that, a man of realization, a man of wisdom, even when he is acting in the world in a very high intense manner, karmani api pravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Even when he is acting in the world, he is not acting. Remember the action in inaction. This is what we are talking earlier. So how does he act? Tyaktva karma phala sangha. Sangha means attachment. Binding, attachment. That is what is sangha. Karma phala asangha. He renounce, he do not have, he won't have any attachment or binding attachment to the results. He will do his best, and whatever that comes, he will take it positive. There's two types of people you want to see, right? So when you classify the whole humanity, you can classify the humanity into three buckets. One is yogis, meaning the practitioners. The other one is siddhas or the jnanis, meaning they have achieved the wisdom. They are already realized. They are the man of wisdoms. And the third category is the bhogi, meaning he is not even practicing. So a bhogi, what happens? He is pretty much attached to the result of the action. He cannot take anything slight above or beyond what he is expecting. Can you think one person in the universe who achieved everything he wants? It's just impossible. If you are not a child, you know that everything in the world is not going the way you want. But still, that's our attitude. It's childish attitude. So bhogi, that's why every time he is stressed, pressured, and sad. Every time something or the other may not go the way he wants. When he is physically well, he may not be emotionally well. When he is emotionally well, socially he is not well. So whole life becomes a stress, pressure, and anxiety. This is a bhogi or a samsari. The second category of the person is known as yogi. So he has not yet reached the higher state, but he follows karma yoga. Karma yoga, it is an attitude. So with the help of Karma Yoga, what he does, he develops an attitude. So he is practicing. He is not, this behavior is not natural. He means he may feel sad, but he will take it as Ishwara's prasada. He may feel stressed, then he will put it as Ishwararpana buddhi. But when you reach from a yogi to a jnani or a siddha, what is going to happen? This behavior will be spontaneous, natural. So that's what is highlighted in this verse. So this verse is talking about the attitude of a master, a self-realized master. So a self-realized master or a jnani, he is not naturally, spontaneously, he is not bound by the results of action. So that's why Tyaktva Karma Phala Asangam. Nitya Triptaha. He is always contented. He is not dependent upon the result of his action for him to become contented. That's not the case. Nirashraya. He is not dependent upon anything. Nitya Triptaha, meaning he is always Tripta, contented. Nirashraya. He is not dependent on anything. Such a person, even when he is engaged in action, he is not acting. He won't create noise. Swami Ranganathananda used to give a beautiful example. One is, imagine you are sitting in a high-end car, a BMW 7 Series, which the Prime Minister and the President uses. That type of car. Even when that car moves maybe 200 miles per hour, you won't feel any jerk or any noise. Look at an auto rickshaw. Even when it goes in 20 miles per hour, you feel that the whole universe is breaking. So a man of perfection acts like optimally, amazingly, optimally, efficiently. This is what the idea. So it's easy, it's not easy for you and I to reach there, but practice Karma Yoga. That itself is going to give you that type of attitude and result. So once again, Tyaktva Karma Phala Asanga. Tyakta means giving up. Karma Phala Asanga means the binding attachment to the results. So not the results, but attachment towards the results. Very important. A lot of people think Karma Yoga as giving up the results. Never ever Krishna is saying that give up the results. It's only give up the attachment. Binding emotional dependence on the results. Nitya Tripta, always contented. Because the jnani is not dependent upon any external object for being contented. He is always contented because he has experienced that happiness within himself. When you experience that infinite reservoir of happiness, why is he dependent upon an external object to become happy? Nitya Tripta Nirashrayaha. Such a person, even when he acts, he is not acting. This is the beautiful verse. Again, not emotionally dependent on the results, freed from worry and anxieties. His mind is fully satisfied. He enjoys every moment, optimal use of the physical and psychic energy, and works silently but effectively. Even though he is engaged in actions, he is not acting. This is the attitude of a jnani. Beautiful verse. So let's continue. Now, a man of wisdom, what would be his lifestyle? This is very important to understand. A man of wisdom can choose to have two lifestyles. One is a sannyasi and the other one is a householder. Both are fine. So the next two verses Krishna is going to talk about the attitude of a man of wisdom who is a sannyasi. And then verse 23, he is going to talk about the attitude of a man of wisdom who is a householder. And then he is not going to talk about the sannyasis at all. Remaining verses, he is going to talk about how a householder, a man of wisdom, a man of realization who happened to be a householder, how he treats his day-to-day activity. Because he is talking to us. He is not talking to sannyasis. So in the next two verses, he is going to give the sannyasis characteristics. Then he is going to bring up the attitude of a wise person who is a householder. And the next 10 verses, he is going to tell us how a householder who is a man of realization approaches different life situation. He tells a householder who is happened to be a man of wisdom, he treats the entire life as yajna. So you can see, eating food is a worship for him. Breathing is a worship for him. So the conventional idea of this ritualistic yajna was taken and extended that to the entire walk of life. Again, this is a revolutionary teaching of Krishna. Of course, from the original Vedic teaching, but beautiful interpretation. So let's first talk about the attitude of a wise person who is a sannyasi. So let me take a moment and step back, right? So a spiritual aspirant has to go through two steps. One is the step of yoga, which consists of karma yoga and upasana yoga. And the second step is the step of knowledge, which is known as jnana yoga. So step one is yoga, which consists of karma yoga, upasana yoga. Step two is jnana yoga. Is there any choice in this path? Absolutely no choice. Every spiritual aspirant has to go through these steps. No choice. But what should be my lifestyle? There is a choice here. So please understand, the choice is in the lifestyle, not in the steps. And what are all those lifestyles? One is the lifestyle of a sannyasi and the lifestyle of a householder. Sannyasi means those rare people who are not interested in the worldly activities, who want to dedicate their life in the spiritual pursuit, because he is not interested in making money, he is not interested in having the family, his natural inclination is to study and meditate. Such people are the people who need to go to the lifestyle of a sannyasi. Whereas all the other people has to go to the lifestyle of a householder. If you go to the lifestyle of the householder, you need to engage in all the worldly activities. You need to engage in earning the money, supporting the society, paying the tax, making sure that they're enforcing the law and order, keeping everything. But sannyasis do not have any worldly duties. Their duties or their job is only to study and propagate the scriptures. That's it. Even propagation of scripture is not their job, in fact. Their job is only to study. So this is the two lifestyle. So first we are going to talk about a man of wisdom who happened to be a sannyasi. So before that, also just as a background, the sannyasis itself can be categorized into three categories. In fact, four categories. Now, first one is called Vidvat sannyasi. A sannyasi who has achieved the highest goal of life, self-realization. That is Vidvat sannyasi. Second sannyasi means Vividisha sannyasi. A sannyasi who has not yet realized the self. He is in the process, but he is putting sincere effort to realize the self. A genuine sannyasi. He has to go through the karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga path, but he is striving in that part. The third category of sannyasi is known as apat sannyasi. Apat sannyasi is, you know what? When some tragedies hits life, some people, what do? They give up their life and go to sannyasa. That is apat sannyasa. And the last one is what? Fraud sannyasis. Sannyasa is only a means to fool people. These are the 4 categories you can think. So here we are talking about the first category, Vidvat sannyasi. So the Vidvat sannyasi, let's try to understand what would be his characteristics. Anu, could you please stand?
Nirashiriyata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilvisham.
Yes. Again, beautiful words. Nirashi. A loose translation means hopeless. That's not what it means. Asha means hope. Nirashi means hopeless. That is the usual literal translation, which is incorrect. So Nirashi here means the one who has gone beyond Asha. The one who is beyond all the expectations. A sannyasi should not have any expectations from the world. Some people may put a garland on you. Some people curse you. He should treat everything as the same. So Nirashi here means one who is free from all the expectations. Then Yatha Chitta Atma. The one who has disciplined or mastered Chitta and Atma. Here comes the complication of Sanskrit. The meaning of the word Atma here is body. Atma means only self. That's it, right? It can mean your body. In some context, it can mean your mind. And majority of the times, it is mean the actual self. That is why when I talk at least Atma, I always say Satchidananda Atma. Qualify that with the actual consciousness. So in this verse, the word Atma refers to the body. So a sannyasi should be somebody who has mastered his body and mind. I remember reading the biography of a great monk. So this monk was living in Gangotri. It's very cold. Why not? Let me give you a direct example. Swami Saropriyananda, who happens to be one of the greatest monks here, when he was living in Rishikesh, studying under some masters, he was telling, he was living in a hut without much clothes, and there was nobody around. Night, you could see the wolves walking through that place. That is the place these sannyasis, real sannyasis, used to live. So somebody was asking, in this particular book, autobiography, somebody was asking a monk, how can you live this lifestyle? Sannyasi's answer was, because of your spiritual power, you are living here. He said, no, ma'am. It's a discipline. You have to follow. Nothing spiritual about it. If you discipline yourself, you can do anything, any lifestyle. Right? How the athletes functions. Getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, doing all the running and exercise. How can they do that? Only through practice. How a person can meditate? I know when I started meditation, I could not even concentrate 5 seconds. The mind goes. Only through practice. There is no point in sitting and complaining that, okay, the weight is going. It's only through discipline you can control your weight. The other day at work, we were just talking. Everybody was telling, like, I know we started working from home since when? Right? March of 2020. Now it's 2021 end. Everybody is asking how many pounds you added. A lot of people, most of the people said 20 pounds, 15 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 pounds, 8 pounds, 9 pounds. High. Why? Lack of discipline. You don't know how much you are eating. You don't know how much exercise you are getting. So a man of realization, even if he is a sannyasi, he will have extreme control over his body and mind. Swami Chinmayananda used to joke about this. What happens is these monks who goes to Rishikesh, they cannot watch movie. So there is not much enjoyment for eyes. They cannot listen to Spotify. So music ears, there is not much enjoyment. It's very cold. So sense of touch, that's also a problem. Nothing to smell, they don't have perfumes. The only thing that is plenty of available is what? Food. Because everybody will feed these Mahatmas. So he used to make him, it's amazing how his sense of humor was amazing. He said, such people develop an extra taste. And how the food disappears, nobody knows. And he used to tell, right? Such people, their knowledge and wisdom will accumulate in the middle. That's what he was telling. Because of their overeating. They are Mahapurushas. In what sense? Their greatness can be measured with a tape. So you need to have that discipline. So nirashi yatha chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha. So aparigraha, that is another quality of this man of wisdom who is a sannyasi. He has given up all the possessions. Meaning, mentally, he is not owning anything. He might be staying in an ashram, but he don't have the sense that this ashram belongs to me. The moment you develop that possessiveness, it is going to create problem. So, aparigraha. So, nirashi, yatha chittatma, tyakta sarva parigraha. It's not that you should give up everything, clothing, everything. No, I'm not. I don't have the feeling that I own everything. Then what is coming? Shariram kevalam karma. He acts how? Body level. But he is not incurring any kilbishav. Kilbishav means sin. Sin means mental impression. That's all. So even though he is acting, he is not acting. This is how a real monk should be. A man of realization. This is beautiful. Let's continue. So without unrealistic expectations, I put the picture of a real monk. He is a real monk. You can see him. He is Swami Tapovan. Anybody heard of him?
Yeah,
Yes.
Swami Chinmaya's guru, right?
Yeah, Swami Chinmayananda's guru.
Shivananda ashram they have, right?
No, actually, Swami Shivananda sent Swami Chinmayananda to learn under this master.
Okay.
He lived in Gangotri. Turkashi. Amazing sage. He has written a couple of books. Such a great sage. Unrealistic expectation, mind free from processing objects, full of self-respect, well-disciplined mind. Even though such people engage in action, they are not acting. This is beautiful. So next, one more verse, again talking about the attitude of a sannyasi, a man of wisdom who happens to be a sannyasi. So let's hear that.
यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते.
Again, yadrishcha labhasantushto. See, he is acting without any binding attachment, without any possessiveness, without any dependence. And because of this action, whatever you get, whatever comes with that attitude, he is happy. Sometimes it is a big results. So many people will come to you to teach, and sometimes people will curse you. He is completely even-minded. And whatever results he gets, he is happy with that. And dvanda adita. Dvanda means pair of opposites. Heat, cold, pleasure, pain, all these are dvandvas, pair of opposites. He is beyond that. When he gets a lot of praises, he is not going to heaven. And when he is cursed, he is not going to Papa. He stays in the earth. The best example I can think of is Jesus Christ. So in the Bible, there are two incidents. Before his crucifixion, there is an incident where people are cheering up him. Hallelujah. And he is the king is coming. He had a small smile. Next scene. Everybody was cursing him, hitting him, and taking him to the cross for crucifixion. That time also, small smile. That's it. How? You and I cannot do that. Only a man of realization. There are many such cases in the history of India. So many sages had demonstrated this behavior. So, dvanda atita, he is beyond, or he is not affected by the pair of opposites. You and I are how? A small thing goes in our way, we are so happy. And something goes wrong, completely down. So somebody was joking, the standard deviation of our, means a normal human being is very high. The level of happiness. Sometimes it can go the other way also. So the standard deviation, sigma, is very high. Whereas a man of realization, he always stays where he is. He's always happy. Dvandvatito vimatsaraha. He do not have any competition or jealousy with anybody. A true monk would be like that. I was told the story of a monk who happened to be a contemporary of Baba Ramdev. Baba Ramdev and this monk learned Hatha Yoga from a common source. Both of them were wonderful teachers. Baba Ramdev's karma was so good. Whatever he did, it was highly successful. This other monk, whatever he did, nothing clicked. You can see that monk. He is still in Rishikesh, but he is contented. Uttarkashi, you can go and see him. So, he lives a very happy life. He is contented. But a normal person had a lot of heart attack. He is equally good. Mind you, that is the beauty. This is what you have to learn. Sometimes what happens? Between me and the result, there is always an X factor. So accept that. That doesn't mean that I should stay and give up. No. Do your best, leave the rest. That is the attitude of that sannyasi. Then, vimatsaraha. Then sama. Sama means he is always even-minded. Sama siddhaucha asiddhaucha. With respect to success and failure, he is equal. Meaning, success makes him happy, but not beyond a certain level. Failure makes him sad a little bit, but nothing goes beyond. So, he is not bound. He is not bound by karma, even when he is acting. See, look at this is spiritual gems, beautifully explained with absolute clarity. What is the man of self-realization? So these two verses covered the attitude of a sannyasi who happened to be a spiritual master. So let's go to the details. So happy and contented with the outcomes of actions, inner composure to respect the pair of opposites, heat cold, victory defeat, success failure, free from jealousy and other afflictions. Such a person performs action, but not bound by the results. You could see the common theme. He tells something and then he tells that such people, even when they act, they are not bound by the results. Now, so the attitude of a sannyasi is described. But most of us are not sannyasis. Most of the people who read Bhagavad Gita are not sannyasis. So what is the attitude of a jnani who happens to be a householder? That is the theme of the next verse. And from there, he's going to talk about how yajna, how we can convert every action into a yajna. So let's listen to verse 23. Anu, could you change?
Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasaha yajñāyācharatah karma samagram praviliyate.
Right. So a householder, he cannot just sit and be happy with yadrishya lapa santushta dvandvātīto vimatsaraha. He will have to do his job. He will have to take care of his family. And if he happens to be a warrior, he has to engage in a war. If he happens to be a doctor, he has to actively engage in karma. So how is he going to work? So he tells, Gata sangasya karmaha. He is free from binding attachment. That is common for both jnani. A doctor, as a doctor, he is going to work extremely hard. You cannot, Shankaracharya in his commentary, he tells, you won't be able to differentiate between a person, man of realization versus a normal householder. This person will be working that hard. But he is not emotionally dependent upon the results. That's the only thing. So he might be doing the dirty jobs. Look at the story of that butcher in the Upanishad. He will be doing his job. He will be cutting the animals into pieces. Or look at Arjuna or such people. Arjuna was not a realized person at this time. Look at Janaka. Even when he has to engage in war, dirty jobs, he will engage to protect dharma. But he is free from binding desires. Muktasya, he is liberated. He already is, he knows himself. And then jnanavasthita chetasa. He always knows that I am not the one who is acting. Jnana avasthita chetasa. The mind is full of knowledge. He knows that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the action, I'm an actor. I am not the agent of action. Then what he does, he performs all the karma. How? In the form of yajna. So, acharata karma, yajnaya form. He does all the karma as yajna. I'm going to explain what is yajna. And what happens? Samagram praviliyate. His karmas resolves in that knowledge, meaning the karmas are not going to bind him at all. So let's talk about this yajna for 5 minutes. Third chapter, we have seen what is yajna. Let's try to understand what is yajna. The original yajna in the Vedic period was a ritual. In ancient time, please forgive me, but I'm going to be very honest and tell you, in the ancient time, per the ancient worldview, this yajnas were inevitable part of life. For anything and everything, there was a yajna. If you want kids, they used to do a putra kameshti. If they want money, they used to do another ritual. So these rituals was part and parcel of life. That was one means they employed. This was the beginning portion of the Veda. If you really look at the Veda, you can see a human evolution. So first thing they did was, at that point of time, was they used to worship God. Everything they want, whether they want money, children, any possession or rain, they used to worship Ishvara in the form of yajna. But when this idea got evolved, and what means when you do a yajna, right? So the first mantra of Rigveda is what is Om Agnimile Purohitam. Whom you are worshipping? You are worshipping Ishvara, not the Agni. A lot of people think that you worship Agni. Agnimile Purohitam. Agni's job is like a postman. Right? Agni's job in a ritual is a postman. Like whatever I offer here symbolically, I'm offering to, say, it could be Varuna, it could be Vishnu, or you might have attended some yajna, even in the modern times. They say what? Om Vishnave Swaha, Idam Namama. That is how they say. I'm offering this to Vishnu, and this is not mine anymore. So you put an offering in front of Ishvara, and at the end of the yajna, you get some prasada back. And what Krishna did, or the later portion of the Vedanta, what did this? Instead of offering ghee or something else into fire, what exactly is going to be the offering? Your actions. That is the real ritual. You are worshipping the God through your activity. Your activity becomes an offering. When you go and support a poor person, that becomes a better yajna. So there is a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Yatat pravritti bhudanam yena sarvamidam tadam swakarmanat todarchasya siddhim vindati manavaha. I believe it is the 48th verse of 18th chapter, but definitely it is the 18th chapter. So yat pravritti bhudanam yena sarvamidam tadam. That Ishvara, whose manifestation is this entire world, how do you worship him? Swakarmana, with your action. So when I'm eating something, that's what you are going to see in the next verse. You don't need to do a Vedic ritual to do a yajna. Your breathing can be considered as an yajna. Your eating can be considered as an yajna. Your teaching can be considered as an yajna. Your bathing can be considered as an yajna. Everything can be considered as an yajna. So convert your actions into an yajna. So a man of realization, a man of wisdom, who happens to be a householder, he converts all his actions into yajna, and thereafterwards he is not bound by the actions. Inaction in action. So Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnanavastita Chedasa. So he is not emotionally dependent upon anything. He has extreme knowledge, and then Yajnaya Acharata Karma. All the karmas are performed whether it is Nitya Karma, Naimithiya Karma, Kamya Karma, or Prayashchitta Karma, all these karmas were performed as yajna, and then the karmas are not going to bound him. And what is that yajna? We are going to see in the next 10 verses. Because if somebody has doubt that this is only Vedic rituals, Krishna wanted to be very specific. That's why the next verse is one of the most popular verse of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahma no Brahmana Hudam. That verse. Usually people chant this before eating. Anybody knows that, right? Somebody, are you familiar with this verse? Somebody before eating,
Yes.
somebody chants?
Yes, I say it every day.
Okay.
I do it every time I eat.
Yeah, this is the meaning. I'm going to make my eating into a yajna. That's why it is. So we are going to see that in the next class. So not only that, every next 10 verses, he is going to say, whatever you do, your breathing, when you do Hatha Yoga, you can make that as an yajna. So don't tell Krishna that I didn't find time to pray. He said, your actions are your prayer. So karmana tadarchasya. If this teaching is not revolutionary, what else is revolutionary, right? Taking the religion out of the prayer hall to the actual field. See, in Bhagavad, there is a beautiful story. Narada, who happened to be the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu, one day went to Vishnu and asked, who is your greatest devotee? You know what was Narada expecting? Vishnu would have told, oh Narada, you are the greatest devotee. Vishnu, without batting his eyelids, he said, in a village there is a farmer. Narada went there. He observed this farmer the whole day. He never did any puja or any ritual. Narada came back and challenged Vishnu. Why? He didn't once in a while he said, Om Namo Bhagavate Narayana. That's it. I am 24/7 chanting your name and you are not considering me as the greatest devotee. So Vishnu said, you know the story, right? He gave like a pot with full of oil and asked Narada to keep that pot and walk around a tree. And then when he came back, he asked, how many times you did the ritual? How many times you did the prayer? He said 0. So when a worldly person is doing his dharma, if he does that with this yajna spirit, that is the highest prayer. And that is what is the theme of the next 10 verses. So a householder who happened to be a self-realized person, he performs all the actions. How? He tells no without any binding attachments. He will be freed from all the insecurities and unhappiness. Mind is deeply rooted in self-knowledge, and he performs actions as yajnas. That's it. And there is no bondage for such a person. This theme will be elaborated. What is that yajna? When you say that perform action as yajna, what are they? That is what we are going to see in the next theme, which is the next topic. So if you look at the whole topic of this chapter, the next topic, right? We covered the third topic, which is 24 to 32. In fact, 8 verses is going to talk about yajna. What is yajna? Because a man of a householder who gains the knowledge, he performs action as yajna. So we need to understand the details of the yajna. A lot of people think yajna as only ritual. No, it's every action of your life can be converted as a yajna. That's what we're going to see. So I know if you could do the prayer, we will go to the Q&A.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri